Brand me a conspiracy theorist. That means someone that questions known liars. The media can point at a bunch of schizophrenics online, you know, that think all sorts of crazy stuff and say, oh, that's a conspiracy theorist. No, a conspiracy theorist is someone demonized by the known lying mainstream media who doesn't buy into lies anymore. Now, I mentioned a lot of this news, but let me drill into it right now. Why are we in so much trouble? A. B, why do we need to wake up now to avert this large global corporate plan that is being carried out? I don't have to sit up here and convince you global government's being formed, that large corporate interests are running it, that large mega banks created thousands of trillions in fake derivatives they use to buy up the world. That's now mainstream news. I don't have to convince you that international bankers rule the world and call the shots. That's on CNBC. In fact, when we come back in the next intro, let's play that intro that has that, just for new listeners that haven't heard it over and over again. All the newscasts announcing we're slaves to private bankers. Aren't we all just slaves, international bankers? Don't they control the governments? Every guess, yes, 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 yes. So Ron Paul, 30 years ago, myself 20 years ago, we don't have to now convince people this is going on. It's admitted, because they're in the end game. The question is, where do they take us in the end game? And so you might want to listen to us now because we were right before. Just kind of a rule that you like to go to people for financial advice that have been right over and over again. You like to go to folks that are guides, that know how to take you to the best fishing holes, who are right over and over again, have the highest ratings, or restaurants that have the highest ratings. You know, you go to who tends to deliver. Now, does mainstream media deliver? Well, for the last 30, 40 years, they've denied all this. Now that it's coming out, they just throw it in your face. So more and more, we can use mainstream media because they're just reporting on what's already happened. There is a collection of private families and mega central banks that control government's issuance of currency and credit, who have taken much of the world over. They're mopping up a few sectors, Russia, China, the Middle East, and parts of Africa right now. They're taking those over by the sword and by economic conquest and economic depression, economic warfare. And their stated plan is to end the Renaissance that started roughly 500 years ago with the Gutenberg press. That's the printing press, ladies and gentlemen, that first printed the Gutenberg Bible. This is their own stated goal. I'm going to get into Davos openly announcing this in a moment. You understand? They're announcing this. So you're not allowed to say it's not happening, okay? Now, they don't like the Renaissance. Now, why did the oligarchs of 500 years ago, the royal families in the church, not like it then? Because there were scientists that said the earth wasn't the center of the universe, and they didn't like that. Nowadays, we like to think America's the center of the universe or something, you know, but the point is it's not. So you had a bunch of oligarchs and special interests that wanted to be in total control, like North Korea, where people think that Kim Jong-un makes the sun come up in the morning while he's hanging out with Dennis Rodman and other bizarre behaviors. It doesn't matter, though, because there was a free market of ideas that began to develop. In Europe, the Dark Age from Japan to Germany began to end 500 years ago, roughly. Can you guys give me the date of the Gutenberg? I think it's late 14s, if I'm right, maybe 15, early, I forget. Let's just see. I wouldn't win Jeopardy is the point, but let's just pull it up. But that's established by most historians that the Gutenberg press, the printing press, is the mark of the beginning of the Renaissance. So the elites, the royalty, the church, they're all worried about it. What do? They begin to try to use licenses and other things to control the new Renaissance. They try to take control of society. They fund Malthus, and they fund Galton, and they fund eugenics in the last 200 years. And so there's competing oligarch systems and oligarch formulas of control and monopolies versus free market open systems. Now they've just used the last 100 years, the incredible largesse, the glut of goods and services and media to create a decadent slob class. I'm part of it, though I'm on the upper end of being awake and involved and caring and dynamic. I'm still a giant walrus-like slob compared to my forebears. So you've got a world of walrus-like slobs in the West, too lazy to have children, too lazy to have a destiny, too lazy to even want anything in the future, versus the starving, murdered third world population. And you've got the tiny technocrats above that, in their own words, who've decided that when they go to Whole Foods or they go to the shopping mall or they go to the airport, they don't like crowds of people, and they don't like how stupid and ignorant and self-centered you are. They're self-centered, but they know the game plan. They were smart enough to run, credit default swap scams and other derivatives frauds, and they were happy to have subprime bubble scams. And I've got some of their quotes here today. Those very billionaires are in the news at Davos saying you don't need air conditioning or a car, not in Africa like Obama said last year, but in America. And they're going to take everything you've got and transfer that money to themselves to live like no kings ever lived before on steroids. And you know what? They've learned through social engineering, you're going to enjoy it. And it has nothing to do with saving the earth. But they do look at 7.5 billion people and all the resources that are being used, and they see those as their resources. And so billionaire lectures, serfs in Davos, America's lifestyle expectations are far too high, close quote. If you listen closely this morning, you could hear humanity vomit as J.P. Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, began to speak at Davos, who flew there in a $100 million jet with a huge entourage of 4 other aircraft. Which, hey, great. You know, and he gets chumps to go out and get balloon mortgages, and then he goes out and gets the government to bail it out. And then he sits there when the government bails out J.P. Morgan. He then lectures the government, who's now a debtor to J.P. Morgan, for bailing them out. See how that works? Here's another one. Al Gore spends $90 trillion to ban cars from every major city in the world, Daily Caller, and it's got his quotes. And the GCEC study that says just ban cars entirely, because the elite fly helicopters anyways, and then just charge you so much for a 200-square-foot apartment that's the equivalent of a 10,000-square-foot house. I'm not joking. These are real actuaries. Why not? The public will put up with it. If you have some simpering person with a NPR voice, you know, with cornrows or, you know, with their pants hanging down over their butt or some kind of trendy outfit, you know, with a John Lennon shirt on, people do whatever they're told. If they're told it's trendy. It's not a fascist world government takeover. It's not a plan to cut off resources to the third world that'll kill 1 billion people conservatively in the next 10 years, according to many metrics. It is the most trendy, cool thing ever heard of in the world to be poor. And to pay for a tiny car, which you would previously pay, you know, for the finest Mercedes. You want a motorcycle on 4 wheels as a tin can that's incredibly dangerous and everything else? Oh, it's for the earth, blah, blah, while they block real innovation and all the other clean technologies that are out there. Here it is. Obama seeks to put Alaska Refuge, that's 90% of the state, off limits to drilling, while he gives a State of the Union speech last week claiming that he wants us to be energy independent. So there you go. Al Gore's got something like 10 houses. One of them's 40,000 square feet or something. But you shouldn't be able to have a house. Just remember that. So this is the plan. And when we come back, before I get to other news and open the phones up to your calls, I want to talk about the difference between a free market system, a Renaissance system, and a crony capitalist collectivist system on the other side. Because this is the whole ball game. This is how the world really works, folks. Don't you want to know?
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put 2 and 2 together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. In the near future. When you realize realize how fake it all is. The football, the basketball.
Alert. Security alert. This is Homeland Security. Analysis. InfoWars building independent media operation.
We let the worst people get control and tell us that we are the ones responsible.
Prime directive. Discredit Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
A popular conspiracy theory talk show called InfoWars.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail.
These people are assaulting us.
Targeting of patriots engaged.
They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them.
Block free iPhone app at Infowars.com. Block free podcast and video feed. Imperative. Destroy Prison Planet TV.
You gotta censor